300 is directed by Zack Snyder and it stars Gerard, Butler, Lena, Headley, Michael Fassbender. That's all the names I can think of right now. And essentially, this film was about King Leonidas leading his troops to fight off the Persian army. That's pretty much the gist of the. It is. Fun's over. Go home. One of the first things that strikes out to me is just the look of the film. It just feels like a comic book. He wanted to really execute this film in the most accurate way possible as it pertained to the graphic novel. Now, I never really actually read the graphic novel, but actually just watching the film itself and just knowing what graphic novels typically look like, the thing looks like a comic book. The whole thing just looks like a damn comic book. I mean, you have the like all of the lighting and all of just the cinematography of it all. It's just very very bold and very striking, and it looks like artwork. To be honest with you, like I feel like he took a lot of the looks from the graphic novel and tried to apply those same color schemes into it, but to give it that same graphic novel feel. And obviously, the movie takes itself in a very stylistic way, but there's a way in which the film just looks. Even the use of color in this thing, it's just everything is so bold. Like the reds pop out to you, and even when it gets to like the outside setting, the sun is very orange, and there's like the shadows in there is just very very deep. Like you can tell that he was trying to mimic the artwork from the film, from the graphic novel. It was quite impressive. Now the movie, like I said, it has a stylistic feel, but it's also very overdramatic. Like I mean, look, say what you want about Zack Snyder and his overuse of slow motion, but I personally love that shit. Okay, I remember seeing it in The Matrix, and I was a fan of it, and I've seen a lot of movies. I love slow motion. What can I say? I love slow motion. Now, could you say he overused it a bit in this movie? Sure, but I think for the most part, it does its job, and it does its job well. Especially when in the beginning, where because the whole sequence, the whole intro of the film is sort of in slow motion, kind of when you're going through the montage of King Leonidas, uh, growing up and kind of doing his training and stuff like that. What it does also too is when you watch it, it gives you this feel of brutality, it gives you this feel of grit and danger, and all of those stylistic choices that Zack Snyder, I think, chose to go with. I think personally, worked for the tone that he was going for. Now the actors in here, like literally every actor in here is fucking ripped. Like every actor, all of them are ripped. Okay, like you're talking about like six pack on top of six pack. I mean, even the old guys have fucking six packs in this film. Okay, like everybody is like in their prime physique form in this thing. It's like he went to like all of their agents and said, "Look, I want you to put in their contract to look like Super Saiyan 3 when they get on set." And they all said, "Challenge accepted." And came out here like literally everybody looks top notch, which is quite impressive. Like I didn't see any lacking muscle, any just they were all just in physique form, and was making me kind of jealous because goddamn it, I've been trying to get a six pack for the longest time. Moving on. Now the action sequences are just fucking cool. I think that's where you really start to see the style come to fruition. Because say what you want about how the film looks and all that kind of stuff, and the overuse of slow motion and things like that. The thing is though, is that I feel like it all comes together the minute those action sequences start taking off. Like the minute that everybody starts slashing each other through and through, and the blood is splattering all over the place, and everybody's jumping and at these impossible heights, like it all looks glorious to see. And all you can do is just enjoy the ride. You can just enjoy the ride because, man, it's like I feel like had he not used that use of slow motion, a lot of these sequences would have lost some of that impact. And obviously that's the point, I know, but it's just by him doing that, it made it look so cool, especially when they incorporated like these zoom in type techniques where somebody's fighting and then they zoom in to kind of like capture the move, and then they they zoom back out to like it kind of like how sometimes in action movies you have scenes where you want to film it in a wide, where you can see everything, and then you have other films where everything is too close up, too shaky, and you barely can see anything. This movie incorporates both, in one take, especially those one take shots. Like you have like a wide of a one take fight happening, and then they zoom in and then zoom out to kind of like show you the true impact of the attacks and stuff. And it was just it. This movie was some of these techniques in here were ahead of its time. Let me just tell you, because I feel like out of all the action films that had came out at this time, like 2006 or five, I think six around there, nothing like this was seen before. Like all of these techniques to make a fight scene, nothing like this was seen before. Now you see it now, but this movie was the pinnacle of how to really capture that 300. Like, I mean, it even has its own title, the 300 style fighting style. Like, I remember when Spartacus had came out and they were trying to go for that 300 look, like the 300 look. Like, it's trademarked from a movie created by Zack Snyder. That's just ahead of its time. Ahead of its time. Now, this is what I want to say about the green screen. Now, the movie over the years has gotten a lot of flack. Not too much flack, like, because it's a good movie, but it's gotten some flack about the fact that it uses a lot of green screen. Now, if you take this movie for what it is, which is an over dramatic and over stylistic, obviously green screen, kind of gets the pass here. The thing of it is, though, is that if you're actually familiar with what green screen looks like, obviously you may have a complaint about it. The thing of it is, though, is that by me knowing the kind of movie that this is and knowing how long it's been since this movie was released, I was actually more impressed how much that green screen holds up. Like, that bad boy holds up to a T. Like, you would think, like, after all these years, you'd be like, yep, that's green screen, and it looks terrible. No, to be honest with you, like, that green screen looked phenomenal. You know what I mean? And not to mention, there was a lot of set pieces too in certain shots where, a lot of it was camouflaged very well. So when you take all those components and you watch the scene or you watch the movie, if you will, you forget about all that stuff. You forget about all the technical green screen stuff and all that kind of. You're just now enjoying this film and enjoying the story being told. And I think that's kind of where it succeeds, But it's been 15 years, almost 15 years since this movie released, and those special effects hold up a great deal, except for the blood. Okay, sometimes the blood splatter looks a little too digital. Okay, I mean, there's some parts though where it looks flawless, but there are other times where it does look a little digital, but everything else, was crafted pretty well, and honestly, taking this film back to '06 and just kind of thinking about how much they accomplished and how much people still enjoy to this day, I'm still impressed by it. So I'm not giving it no complaints about that stuff. Shout out to all you special effects people out there who worked on this film, because that was a damn good job on that one. Now the characters, Leonidas, bro, that's my dog. That's my dog. I mean, even just from the intro, when you see, just from how he grew up and the training he gone through to now him being king, that man is a man's man. Okay, like that dude is everybody's hero. Okay, what's crazy is that while I was watching this, I started thinking about a lot of because there's a lot of messages of what it means to be a man and things about what it means to be a warrior, and like only the hard, only the strong can become a Spartan. True, that's damn true. But from when they tried to bring it down to how it's just it's the men that can become these things, and only the hard and the strong. And they usually kind of link it more so. They usually make those attributes synonymous with men, which I also believe is true. I just started thinking about how, like, if this movie had came out in like 2020, I could see it right now. Like, 300 gets released, and it's directed by Zack Snyder of all people, and there's just fucking headlines and stupid journal articles just coming out on social media saying, 300 promotes toxic masculine, whatever the case. Like, I can just see that happening because people are just slow. People are just dumb. But ultimately, I'm glad that they really incorporated and really held true to that belief, because that's actually what they, strive for. They strive for perfection. They strive for, being the strongest and being the most powerful of all the countries. And, you know, by Leonidas as being the perfect prime example of what that is. Great casting for that, by the way. But just the fact that his character is just such an ambitious and an inspirational character, just about just not giving up and just how to be a great leader. Not to mention too, I loved I loved the voiceover in this, the narration that was going on. And I'm not a big fan of narrations at all. Like, I actually despise a lot of narrations, like a lot of voiceovers that try to explain to you the movie. I'm not really a big fan of those things. The only times that I'm actually okay with narrations is when it's a Scorsese movie, because he knows how to do it right and do it well. Not a lot of movies do, but with this movie, of all movies, I didn't mind the narration at all. It was actually very pleasant to hear. It was very poetic, and I really enjoyed the guy's voice. Saying, explaining what was going on. And it wasn't that he was actually explaining the movie either. It was more so just him telling a tale as if he was Homer telling the Odyssey. And he used a lot of metaphors and a lot of verbiage to kind of leave some nuance there, so that way, as a viewer, you can still enjoy the film. Without them saying Leonidas did this and Leonidas did that. There's good ways and bad ways to narrate a film. And I think 300 surprisingly did that. There's so many good lines here, man. Like, just so many great quotable lines in here. Like,
then we will fight in the shade.
But tonight, we dine in hell! This is Sparta!
so many great lines in here, man. Like, this whole script is quotables, honestly. Because everybody kind of has, like, everybody talks kind of Shakespearean-y, from back in the day. Like, this is like in the BC era, so everybody's language is different. It's a little more lax to kind of just let you enjoy the movie, but just from having people just say such good bars, man, like, just things to get you up in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, only Spartan women give birth to real men, and I brought more soldiers than you did. Tonight we dine in hell. Come on, man. Come on. 300? Shit. I don't know if this is actually, a con of the movie, but there's a lot of superficial things in this film that kind of takes you out of the historical accuracy part of the film. Like, there's like some creature, like there's a hunchback in there that looks just, he looks like a science fiction character, but then, like, there's like some other creature elements in there that kind of like make their way in the film, where it's like, you thought you was watching. I mean, obviously it's not extremely historically accurate, but having these sort of monsters and these immortals that look more like, demons, but like actual demons from True Blood or something, it kind of takes you out a little bit. It's supposed to be set someplace in the real world, and they're like incorporating a lot of cartoony type elements into the film to really, I guess, bring home the stylized look of the film, which I don't really have a problem with. It's just, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I just, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, there's a fat creature with fins on, and he's beheading somebody. That's rich. And then there's this big old monster. It's like, really? But look, like I said, it's not throughout the entire film. The whole thing is fine. It's great. It's just good. It's good fun time. I had a good time with this one, man. Zack Snyder, one of Zack Snyder's earlier works. People hate on him for some reason. I don't know why, but I loved him. I've always loved Zack Snyder since Dawn of the Dead, and I definitely loved him after this movie. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, it's damn good. It's damn good, man. I mean, Zack's getting a lot of flack now, to be honest, but I honestly I've always been a fan of Zack Snyder and his work and stuff, and just glad to actually, review something of his, one of his earlier works so that people can be reminded that this dude, changed the game kind of, you know what I mean? Like that 300 look that people talk about, that came from this. That came from him. I mean, you can blame Frank Miller too, but seeing it to kind of incorporate it in film in the film industry, on the silver screen is is a different thing. That's my review on 300. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'm gonna be coming to you guys soon with some more review videos. But you guys have a good Christmas, and you guys take care. Okay, peace.